Hi everybody, I'm DJ Foster, joined by Grand Valley State head football coach Matt Mitchell. The Lakers come back home to Lubbers Stadium this Saturday night for a 7 p.m. contest with the Hillsdale Chargers. Well, Mitch, a 65-28 victory last week against Lake Erie, a game that was very high scoring at halftime, and you wouldn't really think it, but defense was really the name of the game in the second half, especially for you guys. You scored the final 31 points of the game and were able to shut out Lake Erie in the second half, and they have a pretty good offense. Talk about the adjustments you made at halftime and how you were able to kind of run away with it in that second half.
Yeah, well, I think in the first half, we never really got them to the red zone. You know, we're giving up way too many explosive plays that led to touchdowns, and the second half, I think the biggest difference was we probably gave up a little bit of yardage, kind of between the 20s, but we played some great, 30-in defense. We got them fourth down twice, got stops, held them on those situations. And, that offense is kind of predicated on spacing, and we probably allowed ourselves to keep the ball in front of us in the second half and reduce that spacing and got off the field more than we did the first half. So, it's always interesting perspective. Gave up 23 points, and we given up 24 at ODU. I felt like we had a great day at ODU just because of the way we played, our effort, our pursuit, and all that stuff. We were on the field a lot longer. We look back, we have really high standards for ourselves, and we didn't probably play as well as we could defensively, but same thing, giving up 23 points, especially against that offense, as you mentioned, with a senior tailback who's a Harlan Hill Award guy who hadn't played for 2 weeks and was coming off some fresh legs, a senior quarterback, senior wideouts. You look back on the thing, you're a little disappointed, but at the same time, it was good enough in the second half to reel off 31-0 and get the job done.
This game against Hillsdale will be your first game in October. So when you look back on the month of September, you're 3-1. Do you like where you're sitting now? What are you happy with? What do you still need to work on?
Well, obviously we would like to be 4-0, but all things considered, being 3-1, I think everything's kind of right in front of us, specifically within the GLIAC. And we've got some games coming up here against some teams I think are going to be great teams within the conference and have been great teams with the conference, starting with Hillsdale. So this is a team, we knew it, with a first-time starting quarterback and some new guys up front of the offensive line and trying to get Potts back, that our offense, it wasn't going to be a finished product week 1, 2, 3, or 4. I thought we saw week 4 we made progress, and we got to continue to make progress throughout the course of the season and get our defense back to where it needs to play. I think we're probably a little disappointed in that we're not we took a little bit of step back against Lake Erie, but it's awesome opportunity this Saturday to get our defense back to where it needs to be.
Hillsdale comes in 1-3 on the year. They had a tough game against Indianapolis last weekend, but their other 3 conference games were high-scoring, close games. Talk about Hillsdale. What do you know about them offensively first?
Well, I think they got Bennett Lewis, who's a really explosive tailback. He's fast. He gets out in space. He can really break a long one. So he's kind of a playmaker from that position. CJ Misfit's a senior quarterback that's been in that program now 4 or 5 years and really understands the offense. I'm sure they're probably wanting to get a little bit more production at this point out of some of their passing game, and that's what's going to happen. CJ didn't play last year. This is his first year really starting, and so they're probably same just like us. You got first year starting quarterback. They're going to continue to get better. But it's it's Keith Otterbein offense. They're very sound in what they do. They're one of the least penalized teams in the nation. They're very methodical in their approach. They don't put themselves in a lot of bad situations, and they almost with their style of offense, force you to be very disciplined, very assignment sound, and to be persistent, because a lot of their drives are multiple play drives. They're not a quick scoring offense necessarily at this point in time. So put some pressure on your defense. We're going to have to be out there, for 10, 11 play, 12 drives sometimes, and we got to be ready for that.
I mentioned they've had some high-scoring games so far. So what do you see defensively from them and also on special teams?
Well, they've got a bunch of new guys on defense. Like they lost some seniors last year, and they're just young. They're young at a lot of the levels of their defense. And so when you're in this league and you're facing, they place Findlay, who's explosive. They place Lake Erie, explosive. Indianapolis is an NCAA Division II playoff team. They face some offenses that have got some skill players, and they're young, and they're developing, and they're growing. And they just don't have a lot of experience, coming back in their defense. So that's probably why they've been giving up a little bit of yardage and some of the points they did. Just new guys trying to figure out how to play a little bit and do some things. And I've been there. So, they're the type of operation, though, that has a whole lot of high standards for themselves. Hillsdale is always the type of program with Coach Otterbein that has very high expectations. And I'm sure they're working to try to progress and get better on the defensive side of the ball with Coach Blanchard. And that's why, these first 3-4 weeks hasn't been up to their standards. They're young. They're just getting better.
It's family day this Saturday night. It's going to be great football weather out here, nice cool night. What do you want to see from your team going into the Saturday night? Well,
again, I think it's pretty critical for us to get off to a great start. I think we're back here at Lubbers. We're 2-0 on the road. with noon games, which I never would have thought would maybe be the identity of this team at this point in time, but they've grasped that really well. And we're 1-1 at the night games, and so we've got to do a good job getting off to a fast start. I think that's really critical for our guys and our quarterbacks especially. I think we've got to take a look at our openers and how we're scripting plays. Bart got off to a really good start Saturday against Lake Erie. We got to get him off to a good start, you know, and a lot of the part of that again is comfort in the pocket, and that's developed from getting the ball out of his hands quick, and also from continuing to try to establish our run game. We're work in progress on all those things. So I think the start we get on offense can build a lot of confidence to proceed for the game. And we got to get back to playing some defense like we played at ODU. You know, we're running around flying, being physical, just a lot of those intangible things. We got to get back to that. And so, our defense was challenged on Sunday and has had a very physical practices all week. And so I'm looking forward to see how those guys respond to some of that hard coaching they've had throughout the course of the week.
Grand Valley State and Hillsdale this Saturday night here in Lubbers Stadium, 7 p.m. start against Hillsdale. Mitch, thanks for your time and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.